You're sitting across from friends. The conversation drifts to money. In that relaxed flow, you let your guard down. You drop the exact number. You tell them what you make. Stop, freeze that exact second. Did you feel that suffocating shift in the room? The micro expression. That fraction of a second where their eyes glaze over, recalibrating everything they thought they knew about you. You thought you were just being transparent. You thought honesty builds intimacy. Wrong. You didn't just share a statistic. You fundamentally destroyed the dynamic of the relationship. You handed them the permanent lens through which every choice you make will now be judged. Why you should never tell anyone how much you make isn't about protecting your bank account. It's about the dark psychological warfare you just invited into your life, and you don't even realize you pulled the trigger. It starts small. You're at dinner. The check arrives. There's a sudden, heavy pause. Nobody reaches for it. Instead, they look at you, just a lingering glance. In that glance is a new, suffocating expectation. You feel the pressure. You pull out your card. You laugh it off. But as you sign, the truth hits you. You didn't pay out of generosity. You paid because you felt trapped by the number you confessed last month. Then comes the passive aggression. You mention a weekend trip. Must be nice, they say. Stop, look at their smile. It doesn't reach their eyes. They aren't celebrating you. They are calculating the financial gap between your life and theirs. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You stop being their equal. You become a walking ATM, and you gave them the pin. You buy something for yourself, just a nice pair of shoes. But when they notice, the reaction is off. They don't say, "Those look great." They tilt their head. You can see the silent math happening behind their eyes, connecting this exact purchase straight back to the number you confessed. Wow, they say, someone's doing well. Pause for a second. That isn't a compliment. That is a financial audit. And what do? You instantly defend it. You shrink. Oh, I got them on sale, you mumble. You apologize for your own money. Why? Because you realize that your income is now the permanent lens through which every single move is judged. Buy cheap, you're stingy. Buy nice, you're arrogant. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You just turned your life into a courtroom, and you'll spend forever on trial. Here's what nobody's going to tell you. You think humans are happy for each other. Wrong. We are biologically wired to rank ourselves. Psychologist Leon Festinger called it social comparison theory. He proved we don't evaluate our wealth in a vacuum. We measure it by staring right at the person next to us. What this means for you is brutal. When you drop your salary number, you force a comparison. You trigger a primal instinct. If you make more, you trigger their inadequacy. Their brain perceives your success as a threat. If you make less, you trigger their contempt. They subconsciously push you down the hierarchy. Stop. There is no neutral reaction to your money. It's a biological impossibility. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You aren't sharing a fun fact. You are activating a survival mechanism that breeds instant, silent resentment. Here's the uncomfortable truth bomb. Ek bitter reality suno. Tumni apna number isliai share nahai kia kyunki you value honesty. Tumni isliai nahai bolus kyunki conversation ka flow waisa tha. Wrong. Tumni wo number upne ego ki lei drop kia. You are sitting there, dust bat ka ra hain, and suddenly you feel the need to prove yourself. To tuma salary ko casually drop ka diteho. Pause. Upne ander deco. Aga tumari income zgada high, toe deep down, you wanted them to know you're winning. You craved that validation. You wanted to see that flash of respect, yathodi see jealousy, unkai ankan main. Or aga tumari salary cam high. To tumni kud ko barking ki lei batia. You wanted the comfort of pity. Tum chart the kaiwo upne expectations low car dane. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You traded your silent power for a cheap 5-second ego hit. Tumni upna control de deer, surf upni insecurities, feed kan ki lie. Your phone rings. It's a family member. They're in a tough spot. A sudden emergency. They need a favor, just a small loan. But listen closely to how they ask. They don't ask if you can help. They ask when you can transfer it. They aren't hoping for your generosity. They are banking on your statistics. Because the moment you told them your salary, they did the math. They already know what you have sitting in your account. They mentally spent your surplus before they even picked up the phone. And you freeze. You have your own plans for that money. You want to say no. But you don't. You feel the crushing weight of their expectation, the silent guilt. So you open your app. You send the money. Understand this. You didn't just give them a loan. You paid the entitlement tax. Your financial security just became their personal emergency fund. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You don't just lose your cash. You lose your right to say no without becoming the villain. You're sitting with your peers. The topic shifts to investments and portfolios. You naturally stay quiet. Then it happens. Someone turns to you. Their voice drops half an octave. Their tone gets noticeably softer. You know, they say with a tight, sympathetic smile, you should really look into budgeting apps or a side hustle. It could really help you out. Stop. Listen to that tone. They aren't giving you advice. They are asserting dominance. They are patting you on the head. And what do? You nod. You force a grateful smile. You don't mention you already work 60 hours a week. You just swallow the humiliation. Because the moment you revealed you make less, you stopped being their equal. You became a project, a cautionary tale. They stop inviting you to expensive dinners, not out of malice but pity, the silent exclusion. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You didn't just share a low number. You permanently downgraded your social status. You handed them the right to look down on you. You're at the office, grabbing drinks with a coworker. You trust them, so you drop your salary number. You think you're building a professional alliance. Wrong. You just handed them a loaded weapon. 6 months later, performance reviews happen. You worked the weekends. You earned the big bump, but management lowballs you with a pathetic 3% raise. Stop. Think about why that just happened. Corporate information doesn't stay secret. It gets weaponized. Management now knows your exact baseline. They know they don't have to stretch the budget for you because they know exactly what you will settle for. And that trusted coworker, they just used your number as leverage to negotiate a higher salary for themselves. And you sit there, swallowing the frustration. You accept the HR excuse. You tell yourself it's just a tight economy. It's not the economy, it's your mouth. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You didn't just share a financial figure. You permanently capped your own value. You handed them the ceiling to your future. You're having drinks with a new friend. You want this to work. You want them to feel close to you. So you do it again. You slide your salary into the conversation. Just a casual mention of a bonus or a complaint about taxes. Stop. Look at what you are actually doing. You aren't sharing. You are purchasing their attention. Here is what you don't want to hear. You keep weaponizing your own bank account because deep down, you don't believe your personality is enough. You are trying to buy emotional intimacy with financial data. And what happens? You train them to value your utility, not your humanity. If you don't stop, you will spend your life surrounded by people who love your numbers but don't care about you. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. You are choosing to be a commodity. You have two choices. Option A, you keep dropping that number. You keep handing out the blueprint to your bank account. You keep letting your friends calculate your worth, your family drain your surplus, and your bosses cap your future. You stay the walking ATM. You stay the pity project. You keep bleeding your relationships dry just to feed your own fragile ego. Disgusting, right? Now look at option B. You shut your mouth. The next time the topic of money comes up, you just smile. You change the subject. Stop. Feel the power in that silence. They will wonder. They will guess. Let them. When you keep your income a mystery, you force them to deal with you, not your utility. You reclaim the psychological high ground. This is exactly why you should never tell anyone how much you make. Real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. True power never reveals its limits. So what's it going to be? The cheap validation of a confessed salary or the untouchable power of financial silence? The choice is yours.